right. Hello there, YouTube Nation. This is Arch from the Arch Assessment. I'm here with CJack of CJack Productions. How's it going?
Doing great, my friend.
Yeah, glad to hear it. How was your Christmas?
You know what? It was much needed. I got a bunch of new stuff, and my YouTubers sent me stuff to my PO box. Got some new gear. Other than that, I'm good. It was great.
Guys,
great to see the parents.
Same here, man. I got a new camcorder. I'm gonna start using here pretty soon. Got that under control. Got some clothes. Got some gift cards. Can't complain. I mean, it's all a blessing. So it's gonna start 2025 right. So with that being said, everybody, welcome to the Arch Assessment. We are here to talk about Creature Commandos, the first 4 episodes, that is. We are going to continue the last half of the episodes in a later time. But right now, we're just covering the first half, and we're just going to give you our unprecedented takes on these first few episodes. Starting with episode 1, titled The Collywobbles. CJack, did you have any initial impressions of this first episode? Just the first one alone.
The first one alone, they did a good job not oversaturating who these characters are. It was a slow introduction. Amanda Waller is doing her usual thing. A lot of references to Colonel Rick Flag Jr. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was a pretty straightforward episode. And of course, it gave me a few flashbacks to Suicide Squad. So right now we see that Cersei is attacking Themyscira, I believe. She's a sorceress.
Cersei representing Themyscira, the new sons of Themyscira. Some country they're invading. I forgot the name of the country already.
Yeah, it was Apocalypse, I believe.
Apocalypse, something like
I know. I could be pronouncing it wrong, so please check me in the comments if I'm pronouncing this wrong. But that's the best way I can pronounce it. So Amanda Waller and Rick Flag Sr. are watching this, and they decide to assemble a task force. So I'm assuming this takes place post-Peacemaker, where the Task Force X got exposed, and there is no more allowing humans to go under these missions. But of course, Amanda Waller being Amanda Waller, she finds a loophole where they didn't say anything about monsters, and this is where we get the introduction to the main characters, which is now known as Task Force M. So that includes, of course, the Bride, G.I. Robot and Weasel, Dr. Phosphorus, and Nina Mazursky. So just in case, quick little heads up, in case you weren't aware, G.I. Robot and Weasel are voiced by James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn. And then we also have the Bride, which is voiced by actress Indira Varma. In case you don't know who she is, she played on Game of Thrones. She was the one that Cersei kissed with the poisonous thing. That's her. She's an Indian British actress, I believe. She's been on other projects as well, but I think that's one of the few she's best known for. She was on Game of Thrones. Correct. She was on Luther, at least the first season, if I remember right. We got Alan Tudyk, who's Dr. Phosphorus. I mean, you don't know him. He's what's the name of that show? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank right now. It is
Because I hate that.
Man, I'll get back to it later. But Alan Tudyk, he's been around for a minute too. He was I'm gonna look that up while I'm talking. But Nina Mazursky is voiced by Zoe Chow. I don't know anything about her in particular, but she's a voicing Nina Mazursky, the fish scientist, and we don't know much about her yet. So Serenity, that's what he was.
There you go. Thank you. That helped a lot, actually.
Yeah, I was just drawing a blank. I had a brain fart at the moment. And
you're like, Jesus.
And then last but not least, even though he's not technically part of the task force, Frankenstein, voiced by David Harbour, who also plays Red Guardian in the MCU. He played Jim Hopper in Stranger Things. He's voicing Frankenstein. So last but not least, Frank Grillo, who played Crossbones in the Captain America movies, he's voicing Rick Flag Sr. Okay. So we got an interesting cast of characters here. So they go straight to their mission. They're heading over to the country, and apparently the citizens, the armed guard, or if you will, whatever you want to call them, they played a pretty sick joke on Task Force M, saying they got to kill them. And I was like, whoa. You know, Frank Flag Sr. is pretty shook, as he should be.
He's like, Your Majesty, and he did a bow like this. Let them cut you off. He did a bow like this. He's like, you have offended us. You must die. And they made old school 2000. I'm sorry, guys, but this cracked me up when you're talking about 2000 references. I'm like, oh my God. And it was just a joke out the gate. And like you said, he was going to crap himself. And Bride was like, yes, you were. Yes, you were.
Yep. And so it's pretty straightforward. They're eating at the table, and G.I. Robot, he makes it very clear he wants to kill Nazis. Apparently.
Even his allies, when he was riding in the truck after they landed, and Weasel was like, is he relieving himself? Oh my God. And Weasel, if you guys watched the Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad with the original with Will Smith, but the Suicide Squad with James Gunn, he kept Weasel alive. Like the guy is a survival expert. He survived the giant star. What I'm going with this is Weasel, like, oh my God, yeah. And even G.I. Robot was like, are you Nazi scum? Everybody's a suspect. It's a robot.
Yeah. Yeah, he just wants to smoke. He'd make the Inglourious Bastards real proud.
Nice.
Yeah, so they're just chilling, and then of course they meet the princess. The princess is feeling Flag Senior, obviously, and she makes a hit pass on him. And Flag's like, nah, we got to keep this professional. I can't do this. And then later that night, as he's trying to sleep. Yeah. And as he's trying to sleep, Dr. Phosphorus is sneaking in his room, trying to steal his activate camera, his phone, and they get into a big tussle, and they fighting back and forth. And that was drawn out for a little bit too. And then while this is going on, the Bride and Nina escape from the castle. And the Bride is apparently trying to break out. She's trying to find her birth home, which was the mansion where she was created. Mm-hmm. And then she gets spotted by a gypsy woman who alerts her to Frankenstein, who's chilling on a yacht somewhere, that the Bride is back. So this is how we get an end of the first episode too. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, let me know if I've glossed over something, because there was really much to say about this first episode. It was just like an intro episode. That's when yeah. But this is at the end of this episode, this is where we get introduced to Frankenstein, who is after the Bride, and we get we learn a little more about their relationship later on. But there was nothing much to say about this first episode. It was kind of a slow build. The series didn't start picking up until about towards the tail end of episode 2, beginning of episode 3, in my opinion.
It was a good slow burn. James Gunn is known for that. He'll slow burn you, and then bam, he'll hit you with it. So I agree.
And then the second episode is called The Tourmaline Necklace. So we get a little bit more about the Bride's backstory. We find out how she was created. It was back in the 1830s, 1831 to be specific. This is where we meet the scientist, Dr. Victor Frankenstein, and Eric Frankenstein, which is David Harbour's character. And Eric is requesting that he make a bride for him out of these disassemble these lady parts, long story short. And and Eric has been waiting for this moment. And then the scientist puts together the bride. She wakes up, she's born, and then so of course the Frankenstein's monster is giddy. He got his flowers ready, he's ready to love, no Shamik Moore.
I'm done. Right.
Yeah. And of course his appearance freaks out the Bride, and she don't want no parts of him. And the scientist is saying she needs time to learn how to talk. She needs to understand language. And of course, you can feel Frankenstein's monster getting impatient. And so we see how that thing's on. Long story short, what we find out, the Bride is feeling the scientist, not Frankenstein's monster. And we see where that direction is going. And I don't think obviously it wasn't planned like that, but
right.
And of course, this, Frankenstein, the monster, Frankenstein's not handling this well. He's simping hard. I mean, he was the one who wanted her in the first place. And he almost chokes out the scientist he almost kills the scientist in the first place. And then he finds out that the bride and the scientists are fornicating. They're having relations. And suffice to say, that doesn't bode well for them. He ends up killing them in a brutal fashion, no less, of course, because he's Frankenstein. Of course, he's not going to do it gently. And then, of course, the bride doesn't take this all too well, and she freaks out. And somehow the mansion burns down, and it shows them like running to each other for the next century and a half, fighting.
I want to put a note on that. They treat their relationship like Highlander. Like every 100 years, you see them like, okay, the bride had a pinup doll, like the pinup era, and then the World War I era, where they're both opposing sides. You know what I mean? Like as time went by. Right. Yeah, you're right. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, if this ain't simping, I don't know what is. Hardcore simping.
People in a lifetime gets over somebody. This dude had several, and he's still right.
Yeah, and he never gives up, I guess. But and what else happened at the end of this episode? So this is where Cersei attacks the mansion with the Sons of Themyscira. Right. But we find out, and they end up the bride and Cersei end up battling out, and it looks like the bride's about to get the upper hand for a minute. She had her, but I think she blinked. But then Cersei turned her arms into those wavy things, and it was a wrap after that.
At the car sale, she joined. Right. She looked like, what the? Right. The fuck, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And Nina got her glass case filled, her glass thing shattered.
And the funniest thing,
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. And the funniest thing happened. Cersei got the advantage, and don't forget, the bride was pretty strong. I would say about maybe Captain America, maybe Spider-Man strong, just about the wall crawling, handling herself well, trying to get her out of there. I mean, it was their fault because they left the castle because she just so happens to, in part one, there was some foreshadowing I should have picked up. When they were flying and she looked out the window, oh, are we in Kazakhstan or whatever the name of the country? You guys, let us know. We're in Kazakhstan. You've been here before? Yeah. Huh? Yeah.
Pakistan.
I think it's like Apocalypto. I don't know, something like that. Audience, let us know.
Starts with a P.
A B, yeah. And the fish girl was like, have you been here before? And she's like, in a way. She never answers a question directly, by the way. So now it makes sense because ironically, Frankenstein's castle's in this city. So she knew. She took her and fish girl and went over there. But getting back to episode 2. So she would have the upper hand. Cersei sickly turns her arms into those wavy arm thingies, kicked her off the roof. And you know what? Out of all the characters, I didn't expect her to be like, hey, I'm sorry I dragged you into this, as they're bleeding out, right? And the other girl's drowning. Technically, she's suffocating, drowning like a fish out of water. And she says with her last, she's not dead, guys, but with her last breath, fuck you. I'm sorry, but that's what she said. Yeah, she was so mad about it. And that's what episode 2 is.
Yeah, so it was a good cliffhanger episode. But following on to episode 3, which is called Cheers to the Tin Man, this is the GI Robot centric episode. So we get a backstory. I like how they show the flashback. They keep going. They focus in on GI Robot's face, and they like go back and forth to the present and the past. And
excellent directing.
We see
all the characters.
Yeah, and then we see him when he was back in the war. He's killing the Nazi soldiers. I like that whole sequence. Of course, needs to say he gives the Nazi soldiers the business. Brad Pitt's character, and again, Brad Pitt's character in Inglourious Basterds would have been so proud. He would have been grinning ear to ear. So and then this is the part I found interesting. And not that maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. The one thing where he's in that TV show, and he's talking to the TV host. That seemed like that was about to take a dark turn. And he was asking about were there any Nazis in the audience, and you could tell the host was getting. And I think he was even questioning the host himself. And, that was going to take a dark turn. It kind of felt like how Deadpool and Wolverine, when Deadpool was talking to Nicepool, and he's like, anything can happen. It had that kind of vibe. Like, if something were to happen to you, I would love to be his papa. And Nicepool's like, well, whatever happened to me? He's like, anything. It was like, it gave those kind of vibes. And then this was the part of the episode I found interesting when the guy, like if you fast forward to the 90s, where the guy Sam, I think his name was Sam Jennings or whatever his name was, bought the robots.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had all the cats.
Sorry.
Did you think that was going to go the direction it did? I'm not going to front. I'm not even going to hold you. I didn't see that coming at all.
Nobody did. Yeah.
It was one of those things where like, it was one of those things where it's like, oh man, I should have saw that coming. I just didn't think. I was just watching it for what it was. I was just along for the ride. I was like, when he took him to that church, I was like, wait a minute. I think I know where this is going.
But before that, the guy in the game show, the scientist, I'm like, why do I know that name? Dr. Magnus, I believe. Or my older DC's out of date. Guys, again, correct me. He was the creator. I Googled him. At the time, I remembered the name. I don't right now. He was the man who made the Tin Men, the Metal Men, the gold one, the silver one, the gray one. Yeah. So he was interested in GI robots design because he was using them as a prototype for his robots later. But he never touched back on that, which I thought was a good homage to the original franchise. But back to you. So yeah, GI robot gets passed around through the ages. A lot of these characters have. And went to the church, and I'm like, and GI robot, even his, he's kind of naive, but he was like, wait a minute, this guy has this guy is like that. Why is this guy a skinhead? Oh, a swastika. And even GI robot was like, oh.
I see what's going on. And you know what's going to happen right after that. It's like, it's a wrap. So that was interesting how that ended up. And of course, he gets convicted, and that's how he ended up where he's at now. I was like, wow, and I was like, that's some James Gunn type stuff right there. And then we fast forward to the present when they're rushing back to the mansion because the bride, them kidnapping the bride and Nina was a ruse. So Cersei and the Sons of Themyscira can go kidnap the princess, which is their ultimate objective.
Mr.
And they, of course, Flag Senior and all those guys are trying to hurry up and rush back. And this is where the show gets a little dark, because some of the Sons of Themyscira are pretty perverted. They got SA tendencies. And they were SAing the princess, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, I don't want to say that word out loud, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say that infamous word. And then that was a whole interesting sequence how it turned out. The princess ain't no punk either. She was fighting. She was doing what she can to stave him off. And then some of the squad, Flag Senior and the rest of the crew, they roll up. And they're fighting it out with the Sons of Themyscira, and they get a big help from GI Robot. And GI Robot had another trick up his sleeve I didn't know he had. I know he could extend his arms and all that stuff, but he can like detach and float.
Yeah, real quick. So Flag, clever strategy. He's like, we're holding back. Are these Nazi scum? And Flag is like, what? No. Yes, they are. So yeah, he just helicopter, like you said. Did a complete 360 for somebody who's literally half a century old. His technology is adamant enough to take out the opponents. He was like, even in the flag,
he got him.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah,
he took them all out, cleaned them all out, and then the only thing left is Cersei. Cersei is about to kill the princess, but Dr. Phosphorus and Weasel intervene. They mess her up pretty good. They don't kill her, but they mess her up pretty good. Phosphorus burns her up, and
that scene was cold.
And Weasel scratched her out. I thought she was going to be dead, but but we haven't seen the last of her yet. And I think I'm missing a part too. I can't remember. Not to get the backtrack. This isn't very important, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Flag finally got it on. He couldn't resist the princess. And they were getting it on in the bathroom. This was after his fight with Dr. Phosphorus, remember?
Correct. Yeah. Because he was she made a first attempt, episode 1. 2, he was like, you know what, dude? I try to be professional. I can't. She's half my age. What are you gonna do? But yeah, and then Nina, thank you for the name. Was like GI Robot.
No, bro. What I was gonna get at, what I was gonna get at though was that sequence where in the bathroom and not GI Robot, Dr. Phosphorus himself was standing guard. It sounded like he was being a wingman for Flag after just trying to kill him. He's like, give him he'll be done in about 30 seconds. Have you seen the princess? Give him about 30 seconds. But given his Flag, I'll give him a minute. I forget. He said something that was real funny.
Yeah, he's like, you give him his flag, make that. No, he said, give him a minute. Well, give him that his age and his flag. Give him about 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Yeah, he said something that was pretty funny. I'm butchering the joke bad, but I thought that was pretty funny. But anyway, flashback to the end of episode 3. They finally subdue Cersei thanks to Dr. Phosphorus and Weasel. They get a grip on her, and then they take her back to the base, which brings us to the beginning of episode 4 called Chasing Squirrels. So this is where they capture Cersei, and then Cersei gives Amanda Waller a vision of what the princess is capable of, and then you see her trying to take over the world. She kills off some of the Justice League members, and
you saw that
Cersei
too?
was trying to tell him, like, yeah, Cersei is trying to tell him, like, look, you got the wrong guy. I'm not the bad guy. I'm trying to save the world here. And Flag doesn't believe it. Flag's like, no, this is crazy. You really believe this? And Waller's like, we got to do what we got to do. And then she dispatches Flag's like, I'm out. I don't want no parts of this.
Wait, before she says this, oh, come on. I know the girl. Let's just say I know the girl, right? Even Amanda Waller was like, oh, come on. And this, I like the fact that's played by the original voice actress, but or the actual actress. It's like, oh, come on, Flag. Do you honestly think just because you had a one night stand with her makes her a saint? And he was like, right. Sorry. But he was like, yeah, we know about that too. He's like, all right. Then he was like, okay, I'm out. And then he put the bride in charge. So I didn't know that bride was second in command.
Yeah. So they grabbed, remember the bride that just killed one of the gorillas. And that was brutal. So the rest of the squad gets dispatched. They got to go kill the princess now. And Flag's out of it. And then that's when he gets accosted by Frankenstein himself, because he's been secretly watching them. Frankenstein is thinking that Flag and the bride got something going on. They don't. And somehow Flag gets the upper hand on Frankenstein just barely. That was like, I got a gun to your eyeball. What you want? And then let's just talk it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just have some coffee.
That was fun.
And then he explains to him, like, they trying to kill the princess. And what else happened in that conversation? I'm trying to remember. Like, Flag agreed to help him find the bride, right?
Yeah, because Flag knows he'll need his muscle to get past, whatever kind of coup that happens there. And because Frankenstein has resources from, saving money, he's practically immortal. So he needs to go down there. Now he knows the problem. And he was like, well, have you seen, and Frankenstein made a bunch of movies that escapes me. Bunch of movies like, have you seen this movie? Oh, you guys are like loving Titanic. Yeah. It was Titanic. Yeah. Titanic. And he was like, okay, sure. But, Flag was like, do you want some coffee? You don't need any decaf or anything, do you? It was a bunch of movie references and stuff like that. So they became buddies. And that was basically it in a nutshell. And now he needs to go down there to save their ass. They do, not him. Yeah.
And then this is where we get a backstory on Weasel and how he ended up with that. Because remember, we were told he killed children. And of course, I didn't put it past him at first, but then we find out he did it. He didn't really kill him. He was trying to kill him. Yeah, I'm real talk. That kind of made me sad. I was really sad about that. The way that turned out, because he was trying to save the young last girl. The cops didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, it's not what it is. It's what it looks like. That dude with the shotgun, Delirious, he caused the fire. The kids were just downstairs trespassing, having a good time. And Weasel's attorney, I'm like, what is she doing? Is she here, like, even back in episode 2, I believe? The end of episode, middle of episode 2, whatever. Stop. Beginning of episode 4, you're right. Weasel had an attorney, I'm like, dude, she's wasting her time. What is it, shits and giggles? No, she's on to something, like you said. He was just misunderstood. They kept feeding him like a stray dog, literally. And he gets accused of killing, 12 kids or 6 kids? I forgot the number.
I want to say 6 or 8. I want to say
6 or 8, yeah. And he's been used since. But there's one thing his attorney did say that struck a note to me. All of them died except for little Susie or somebody. I'm not too sure. Like, if they can clear his name, I don't know, whatever, but that's all I got.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, though.
Yeah.
I can't remember, though. I got to look into that again. But this is where what else happened there? Yeah, it ended with Weasel's backstory, if I'm not mistaken.
That was it. Just, yeah, and then there's Weasel's backstory, and that was it, honestly. And now we're today's episode, which well not today, but on Thursday's episode, we'll know what happens with that. So by the time you guys watch this.
Yep. So this is just the first half of Creature Commandos. We will cover the last half of the episodes later at a later time. So please stay tuned. CJack, what are your overall impressions of the first half of this season of this show? Like, what was your takeaway from this?
There's a lot of room. Gunn did some really good world building. He's good about that, man. Not to be a big fan of his. For example, he brought everybody's origin story just enough for each episode to understand who these people are while enjoying the show. That's smart. Like a lot of writers do that, but he just does it where it's drawn to you want more. It's definitely gonna be a second season. He's onto something here. It gives me that Guardian of the Galaxy vibe. Like, who are these guys? I know nothing about them. I just knew they were part of the DC universe. Even G.I. Robot's original crew was the World War. Because remember, DC had a bunch of like military, like they had like Commandos, regular Commandos, supposed to be like popular like Captain America. They were the answer for Captain America's Marvel version of this. So he teamed up with them, in Robots flashback. A lot of those guys, Bulldozer, Long Shot, all those guys were genuinely in the original military comic book back in the 40s or whatever. And I like that. Yeah, real quick. And I like that Gunn, he personally said, I like to work with loser comic book strips that nobody ever heard of. Or not even lose, that's an ugly word. Just unknown heroes and just bring them back into fruition. I love it so far, to answer your question.
Yeah. So, this show, I don't think this show could have worked without James Gunn's vision.
No.
And not that I'm not saying this as a James Gunn fan or a James Gunn stan, but he is what you call a genuine nerd, and he has a passion for the material, unlike so many other people you can say that are in charge of some of these studios. So I'm very hopeful for the DCU as a whole. I think this is a good intro into a new universe. I mean, I still consider the upcoming Superman next summer to be the official, quote unquote, first movie of the new DCU universe. But this is a solid introduction into that. So I'm curious to see how the rest of the season is going to play out. Last I checked, I think they did greenlit a second season of this show. So of course I'm going to be there, check it out, of course. So I like where this is going. I feel like it got off to a slow start at first, but by episode 3, it started picking up. Oh, so I'm cool with it. I look forward to see where this is go. That's all I got for right now. So I do look forward to covering the second half of this show. So again, I'm Arch with the Arch Assessment. Again, follow, and subscribe along with CJack from CJack Productions. Please follow and subscribe to him as well. And we will see you into the new year. If we don't hear from you again, happy 2025. And we will see you soon. Peace.